What's going on here, guys? I just want to do a update on my Carolina Man tribute build. I'm working on the 97 Ford SVT Mustang Cobra. And here's where we're at so far. I've been making pretty good progress on this thing. It's not a bad kit. There was a couple of little issues with it, but nothing major. They were easily fixed. I just got to moving along on this thing pretty good, and I was like, "Ooh, wait a minute! I better at least get an update here." So I apologize. You really are not going to be able to see a whole lot of what's going on here, but we'll start with the engine. It was painted with aluminum. The block and heads are aluminum. The intake, the top of the plenum is, it's aluminum. Underneath it was black. Oil pan was painted black. Exhaust manifolds were painted with steel metallizers with the exhaust. Here, look at the underneath. Not a whole lot going on under there. It's basically all black with the exception of the rear trailing arms are aluminum. The dry shaft's aluminum. I had a slight problem with the engine. The heads. There was a couple little plugs on the bottom of the cylinder heads, and they fit into the cylinders on the block. And they didn't fit down flush. There was just a slight gap. And now when you got the heads sticking up off the block, now your intake valley is going to be a little wider, and then the intake naturally would set lower. And it just didn't look right. So the simple solution was just to shave those little plugs off the underneath of the heads. Now the heads fit the block flush. Problem solved. The interior, really not a whole lot going on in there. Can't really see a whole lot because everything's going to be black. The dash is just sitting in here. I am going to just go over the gauges, highlight them, a little bit of white, and that's basically about it for those. Now you'll notice there's no body because unfortunately it is in the purple pond. I had a slight little problem with the bumpers not fitting well. The ends of them seem to be kind of bowed out a little bit, so I did have to heat them up and kind of squeeze them a little bit so they fit the body closely, which was a pretty easy fix. But I'll get into that a little bit more when I do get the body back out of the purple pond and get it painted, and I can show you exactly what I was talking about. But I was using Duplicolor paint. I primed the body with Duplicolor primer, and the paint, it's an old can of paint. I don't know if that's what happened or what, but I store all my paints. They're all in the house. They're all in those little containers, either in the front room or in the back room. Those rollaway storage bins, like I said, it was an old can of paint. I shook it up. I did nothing differently than what I normally would do. And, I shook it up really well. I put one light coat on, shaking it, while I was, going along. A few minutes later, I come back and put a second coat on, and it looked good. And I come back a little while later, and you could see where the paint, it's separated. The color, it kind of changed a little bit. It was a little bit darker in some spots, and basically throughout the whole car, the paint seemed like it shrunk, and it shriveled up and it cracked. So I don't know. I mean, like I said, I don't know what the hell happened there. If it was, you know, I'm thinking it was just an old can of paint. The body went straight from primer into paint after it dried. You know, I didn't even touch it. So you know, and the primer looked good. So I would tend to not think that there was any kind of contaminants, but I don't know. But anyhow, now that it's in the purple pond, leave that go, get it cleaned up. I'm going to move on to a couple other things, and hopefully before too long I can get that body back out and get it painted again. This time I'm just going to use something simple. You can see I already got the firewall painted, and that is the Testors one coat lacquer, the Deja Blue. So that's what the body's going to be on this next go around. Alright guys, that's all I got on this one. So until the next time, we'll talk to you later.